I feel like there's this lie going around that AI is going to take over one-on-one personal training, that if you are a coach today and you're doing one-on-one personal training services and sessions with clients, that your job is at risk. And you should probably be focusing more on hybrid training or online training. And there's a likelihood of you not being in a position where you can actually grow and scale. Although AI is there, I think it's a tool. I think it's great. But at the end of the day, things boil down to connection. And here's the thing that I think a lot of people just aren't talking about. And that is that one-on-one training is the backbone of our industry, right? Working with clients and getting them results directly. And the ones who know how to deliver it the right way, they're the ones making money. They're the ones growing their business, and they're the ones who are learning how to scale. So I just want to give you some context here. Back in the early 2000s, I was in college. Like most college students, I was broke, but I was hungry to learn. I was hungry to grow. And I got my first job working at the Student Rec Center. And I remember getting my first few clients. And it was, just us working out. I mean, I used what we had. But the thing that it was really built on was trust. I would follow up. I would over-deliver. I would make sure that I was there. They would show up and I would show up. I gave them every ounce of me month after month and continued that to make sure they got the results that they were looking for, right? It was a genuine experience between both myself and the client. Fast forward, I've worked with over 1,000 trainers. I've worked with over 100,000 clients, and I've built a multi-million-dollar business. And I did all of this on one-on-one personal training. So let's talk facts, right? Let's look at what's real. If you look at today, the personal training industry is set to be about $11.9 billion market for 2025. And here's the interesting thing. 60 to 70% of that personal training, because when some of you are probably thinking, you're thinking personal training, you're going, oh, well, yeah, that could be anything. Small group training, hybrid training, online training, right? That's the total amount. But 60 to 70% of that amount is one-on-one training in person. That's the majority of the market. And it's expected to grow at 4% per year. So if you're a coach or a gym owner, or you're thinking about growing your business, or you're even right now in school and you're thinking like, do I really want to get that certification for a personal trainer? Do I want to go down that path? You're missing out on big opportunities if you're not thinking this way. If you're ignoring it, there's a good chance you're just leaving money on the table. And more importantly, you're leaving impact on the table. How many people could you really help impact their lives in a positive way? And if you're a trainer, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because your clients will bring you stuff, during the holidays, things that you probably shouldn't be eating, but they're bringing it to you anyway, right? And it's because the impact that you've had on their lives. They now entrust you with a lot more information. So let's circle back. AI is here, right? We can't get rid of it. And I totally think that it's something that is of value. Everyone's chasing efficiency. They're chasing speed. They're chasing scale, and AI can help them with that. But what people are really missing right now is that genuine feeling, that authenticity, that human connection. A real person looking them in the eye after they just get done with one of their sets or one of their reps and high-fiving them. You can't get that with AI. You can't get that with an online coach, right? And that's why 60 to 70% of it is still there. That's still that big of a market. But what we do know is that you as a real person, you can do those things. You can give them high fives. You can make them feel proud of what they just accomplished, right? That first PR that they just had. That's the opportunity. And it's bigger now than it ever has been. So, let's go 30,000 foot view on this, right? Let's zoom out a little bit. In 2000, when I was in college, 12% of Americans, 12% of the population here in the US had a gym membership. Okay, that was roughly around 32 to 33 million people. Today, in 2025, over 25% or nearly 25% of the people have a gym membership. Okay, and that accounts for over 77 million because some of those numbers are coming from 2024. Today's 2025, so those numbers are probably close to 80 million now. So what we're talking about is more gyms, more trainers, and more competition. Obviously, more clients, right? More people are getting healthier and they're more aware, more conscious of it, right? Those clients, they're smarter about what they're doing. They read reviews. They know what's going on. They have pricing information. Unfortunately, a lot of them make decisions based on price, but they do research. They know what's out there. Nutrition, the group classes, the semi-private, the online training, the one-on-one training, maybe how your gym operates, right? Because they don't only just see it online, but they hear it from other people that are giving them that information. So if you're still offering just one-on-one training with no progression, no variety, no roadmap, you're already behind. And I'm not saying ditch one-on-one. That's not what I'm saying at all, because I built a very good business just off of one-on-one, but things have evolved. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. Start there with one-on-one, master it, do really well at that one thing because it's 60 to 70% of the market, and be world-class at it, be great at it. Then add some of those other things. Maybe add some small group, add a hybrid program, add some online, add some programming, but don't skip steps. Don't fake the scale, right, if you haven't nailed it yet. So if you haven't started PT, or if you're in a position where one-on-one personal training just feels kind of like flatlined, it's like, I don't know if that's doing what it should be doing. Most likely it's not the economy. You hear it. People say, the economy's bad, or they had to think about it, or they just don't have the money. But in reality, it's probably one of these four things. Culture, right? Number one, are your people bought in and are they aligned? It starts with your team. And that culture has to breed that essence of everyone is on the same page. Your systems. Number two, do you have a process for this? Your service. Number three, right? Is it really world-class? Are clients coming in and talking about what you guys are doing because what you offer is top-notch, right? Remember, you got more competition, you got more trainers, you got more clubs, you got more clients. Clients are more aware, so they're going to research and get information. So you got to be world-class. You got to take things up a notch. And your value. Do people, when they buy personal training, do they feel like what they purchased is of greater value than what the cost was? Okay, value and cost are two different things. So do they feel like what they bought has greater value than what it actually cost them? And the reality is if you miss any one of those things, you're probably going to struggle. You're always going to be on that hamster wheel trying to figure it out. Like, what do I need to change? I hear it's the economy. No, people are actually, not wanting to buy because, the trainers aren't here. And let's talk about trainers. Because when my business was firing on all cylinders, when everything was going right, not only were all those things aligned, but we were adding for every member that joined the gym, okay, or joined the gym that we were involved with. For every single member that joined the gym that we were involved in, it was a guaranteed $100. We knew that. Those aren't just numbers I'm pulling up. That's data. That's real data that I had from looking at the historical references that we had over the years. When a member would join, guaranteed $100 that was coming through the door. It doesn't mean that member was paying $100. It just means that we knew how many people we were signing up for personal training and how long they would stay, which was about 6 months. And that stickiness doesn't happen by accident. It comes from dialing in on all four of those levers. And could we have done better? Like, some of you might be listening to this and going, my average client stays longer than 6 months. And that's great. Okay. But the industry is significantly lower than that. Okay. So there's certain things that we could have done better and gotten clients to stay longer and maybe even signed up more members, but we were hitting numbers that were beyond what the industry averages were for a gym. I'm not talking about personal training studios. I'm talking about gyms. Now, on to the team. How do the trainers look at things, right? When you're hiring people, because maybe you can't hire people, right? That's a common thread. That's a common thing that I hear. It's hard to hire good trainers, or that they just don't want to work. Okay. And those things I hear, and that there's some validity to it, but are you giving them value for the position, right? Are you giving them a reason to stick around and stay? Number one is the culture dialed in, because they're going to sense that as soon as they get onboarded. They're going to see the reality of what the culture really is. Do you have team members that are like pulling at each other? Are people butting heads? And the information, the language that's being used within the gym is a little different from person to person. Do they feel like maybe there's a real career path ahead, right? Are you giving them something they're going, I can see myself doing this, or I can see myself getting the mentorship that I need in order to do this on my own? Are they learning outside of the gym, right? Or are there opportunities for them to have online training, some maybe hybrid training? Are you growing your business? Do you have the vision laid out so that way they can see that there's potential small group training that they can get involved in? Are there other ways for them to make money other than just being in the gym all day? Most trainers today, that's what they're looking at. They look at online, and that there's an ability to go ahead and become a trainer and train online and make, a six-figure income. If you've made it this far into the episode, thank you. I don't take your time or your attention lightly. So if anything that I've shared today has sparked an idea, challenged you in any way, maybe challenged your perspective on things, or just helps you see your business a little differently, I'd love for you to do two quick things. First, head over to YouTube, search Sweat Success Podcast, and hit that subscribe button. Next, please go to bizops.com. I've put together a handful of free resources there that you can download to help you grow your business, improve your systems, and create real freedom. They're all available right now. There's no strings attached. I just appreciate you being here. Let's get back to the show. I know that you see it. I know that you've probably heard it because those things come in my feed too. I get them on my Instagram and my Facebook feed. So if you want the best trainers, they want more than just reps and paychecks. They want true growth. And if your culture is fragmented, if you've got different department heads that are like all pulling at each other and nobody's aligned, that doesn't breed an environment where trainers really feel like they can stay. And if they're not going to stay, you're never going to grow your PT business. It comes back to those four things. Culture starts at the top. It starts with the person who owns that business, owns the gym, right? I remember working with some gym owners, right? Because my business was modeled. So I like to think of it as kind of like a Geek Squad for Best Buy. That's what we were. We were the Geek Squad. We would come in, we would set up shop. We would, assimilate to their brand, right? We'd wear shirts that look like their brand. And I remember some of the gym owners, we were totally aligned. And so culture was already defined. We already had a path and things worked really well. Everything was running on all cylinders. And other gym owners that I had worked with, because I wasn't always one gym owner, I had nearly 100 clubs or a little over 100 clubs across 5 different states. So I had different gym owners that I worked with, and each gym owner was a little different. So if we weren't aligned on culture, the system didn't work very well. So that culture starts at the top. It starts from the person who owns that location, owns that business. And they've got to own the culture. So here's my challenge to you. If you're running a small group studio, try adding one-on-one training. There's an opportunity there. Like I said, it's 60 to 70% of the market. And it's not a huge lift for you. It's not like you got to change your design. If you're running one-on-one training already, start with those 4 things, make sure that everything's dialed in, but then look at maybe adding some small group or some hybrid or some kind of program, maybe even online. And if you're doing none of these, right, you're not doing anything in the personal training realm, if you're only relying on memberships to keep the lights on, in my opinion, I think something's broken. And you need to fix it, and you need to fix it fast. Because if you're just relying on people churning through and that number is going to be a set number of a percentage, and you're relying on the new people coming in, at some point, clients, they leave and they don't stay. And you're going to have that leaky bucket the whole time. Because one-on-one training, in my opinion, it's not dead. It's not outdated. It truly is dominant. Again, 60 to 70% of the market. But only for those who do it right. They do it with vision. They do it with leadership, and they do it with heart, right? At the end of the day, your goal, just like mine was, if you're listening to this, is to really help customers, right? Help people understand how they can get healthier, how they can get fitter, because a lot of times they don't know where to start, and you're that point person for it. And I'm not here to give you fluff. I'm just trying to give you the information and experience that I've learned from, right? Give you the information of where things are at today and what has happened for me over the years. So if this hits home for you, if you're listening to this and you're going, that kind of makes sense, or that hits home, I can resonate with that. Share it with another gym owner, right? Someone who needs to hear it. And if we're doing these things, we're all helping each other. We're helping each other grow. And if you're ready to take your PT system to the next level, let's say you're going, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know exactly what I need to do. Just shoot me a DM, send me a comment, and just say PT systems. And I'll send you exactly what I used in order to grow. And until next time, keep showing up, be there for your clients, keep leading, and never forget the smallest interactions many times lead to the greatest opportunities.